right, so we are preparing for your CFA for Unit 3. You guys have done really good with this unit so far. I know a lot of it is just continuing with our linear equations, so it's just an extra practice there. So hopefully this will be pretty easy for you guys, okay? So first thing we want to talk about is our vocabulary. We've done a lot of practice with that. You guys have your tip charts that we went over actually before Thanksgiving break. So let's look through these really quickly. When I talk about the line of best fit, okay, a few things. The line of best fit, that's going to be the line that fits best, right? Okay, so when I say a line, all right, if we look at our definitions, how many of those other definitions talk about a line? Let me read through them really quickly. A is a variable with a value that is numerical. B, a diagram where points are plotted to show the relationship or the correlation between two variables. C, a variable that can't be defined numerically. D, a line that is drawn on a scatter plot or diagram to best represent the trend of the values. Or E, related data that has two variables. Okay, so those are our definitions. So line of best fit. Okay, well, when I look at my definitions, right here I have the word line, and right here I have the word best. Okay, so the line of best fit, that's the line that we draw to represent our data, right? To kind of show what directions it's going, what predictions we can make with it, right? We look at the association, we look at the correlation, okay? So for number 1, our answer is D, all right? Number 2, we have quantitative variable, okay? When we talked about these two definitions, one thing we talked about was, so we have quantitative here, and we have qualitative here, okay? So very similar words. One is quantitative and the other is qualitative, okay? So when we talked about quantitative, right, you might have heard the word quantity, especially if you were online shopping ever, because sometimes if you buy more than one, the quantity is how many of these do you want? So when you're clicking add to cart, how many are you adding to cart? Okay, that's the quantity. Okay, another thing that I talked about is quantity has this N right here, and qualitative has the L. Okay, well, can't I say N stands for number and L stands for letter? Okay, so my two big difference in those two words, quantitative and qualitative, is the N and the L. So the N tells me my quantitative is going to be a number, and the L in qualitative tells me it's going to be a letter, okay? So both of them have the word variable in them, okay? So when I look at the word variable, I can see that definitions A and C also start with a variable, okay? So I can say, okay, it's probably going to be one of those. So A says a variable with a value that is numerical, okay? So that tells me it's going to be a number. Well, we just said quantitative has that N, which is a number. So for quantitative, that is a variable with a value that is numerical, okay? So I'm just going to skip down here to 4, keep going there. So now I can say, okay, well, C says a variable that can't, so cannot be defined as a number. Well, isn't a letter not a number? So when I talk about qualitative, that L for letter tells me it is not a number. So my answer for that one is C. Okay, so quantitative is a number, qualitative is a letter. Okay, all right, the next two, bivariate data. All right, y'all have heard me say this 100 million times. Bi is our 2. Think about a bicycle has 2 wheels. Okay, bi means 2. So bivariate would be 2 variables. Bivariate, 2 variables. Well, what's our definition that says 2 variables? Right here for E. So the answer to bivariate data is data that has 2 variables. Okay? Scatter plots, we better know. We've been doing those nonstop. Okay? It is our diagram where points are plotted to show the relationship, our correlation between our 2 variables, right? We have our X and our Y, and that's what we're showing, okay? So hopefully y'all have used your tip chart, you've used the word wall, and you feel comfortable matching up these definitions, okay? If not, keep practicing, keep using that tip chart to help you. Okay. Question 2, Anthony wanted to see how much water he was drinking, so he recorded it for 5 days. Below is what he recorded. All right, so we have our 2 situations, our days, and the ounces of water he's drinking. So remember, we always need to do our X and our Y. Our X comes first, our Y comes second. Once we do it on our table, we need to do it on our graph, okay? So this here at the bottom is the days. And this here on the side is the ounces of water, okay? We all need to be drinking our water. I need to remember to do that too, okay? So let's see how much Anthony drank. So my first point is going to be 1, 5. So remember, it's 1 day. So I come over to 1 day, and then I'm going to go up 5, okay? Well, what am I skip counting by on my y-axis? We're skip counting by 2, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Well, 5, that falls between 4 and 6, right? So I'm going to come over to my 1, and I'm going to go up right here in the middle because 5 is right between 4 and 6. All right? My next point, 2, I'm going to go up to 7, which is right between 6 and 8. My next point, 3 and 10. 4 and 9, right between 8 and 10. And then 5 and 11, right between 10 and 12. Okay? So now I have, let me just double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I graphed them all on my scatter plot. Okay? So now the question says, what is the best explanation to why Anthony may drink about 12 fluid ounces on the 6th day? Okay? So we're talking about what would happen here on the 6th day. All right? Well, if we look at our data, okay, we look at the plots that the points that we plotted, okay? I see a trend. Do you see a trend? What's happening? We're going up, right? Everybody see that? So remember, what do we call it if our line is going up? It is a positive association. So that tells me it would be up here, right? If we're looking at day 6, it would be somewhere probably in this vicinity because our scatter plot is going up. If it were going down, it would be somewhere maybe like here, but it's not. We look at the trend of our data, the points that we plotted, and we can clearly see they're going up. So it's that positive association that makes us think it's going to keep going up. Okay? All right, hopefully easy peasy. Which line of best fit is the most appropriate for the data? Okay, you guys have done really well with this. I think if we look at it, well, this one here, A, okay, I mean, they're both going in the positive direction. Same with C. But it's not in the middle of our data. Remember, best fit. Not kind of fit, not sort of fit, not a little bit fit. It is the best fit, okay? So I think I can easily say it's not those, because those lines are not in the middle of the data. Well, when I look at D, that's not even going in the right direction. It's definitely not that one, okay? Now look at B. We can clearly see I got points on this side. I got points over here. I got some points on my line. That line is in the middle. It is right there with the data. Okay, it's going in the same direction. It's right next to it. It's touching some of it. That is going to be our line of best fit. Okay, so make sure you can recognize that. All right, here we go. We want to draw our line of best fit. So you can use your Mr. Slope band if you took them home. You can use a ruler. You can use anything to help you out here. Okay. Well, when I look at this, I can see, okay, it kind of starts up here at 15, and then it's slowly going what direction? Down. Okay. It's slowly going down. So when I make my line, I might have to adjust it a little bit. Let's see. Something maybe like that. Okay. I got some points above. I got some points below. Okay. So it's kind of right here in the middle. All right. And then it says, what will be the expected value of posts made by the student in week 6? Okay. Well, if I look at my graph, my axes aren't labeled. Apologies. Let's label those real quick. Sorry. This is my X. This is my Y. So when we're talking about week 6, we're coming down here to weeks, and we're right here at week 6. Okay? So week 6, if I go on my line, and I go up, I hit my graph right here, right? So if I come over, where is that? Okay? That would be at 6 posts made. So the expected value of posts made by the student in week 6, I could say about 6 posts made. Okay? So that's why you want to make sure your line of best fit is actually the best fit so that you can make an accurate prediction like that one. Okay? All right, number 6. Okay, so now we got to do our equation. Okay, so we're going to write an equation. Remember, y equals mx plus b. Okay, I'm going to label y and x. Okay, so remember, my b is easy, right? B is our begin. Okay, well, where does my graph begin? Here. Where does it cross that y-axis? Okay, you see it here, right? Right here at 40. Okay, easy peasy, I'm done with that one. Okay, now we got to do our M. So remember, to find your M, we draw our triangle. To draw our triangle, we want 2 good points. So I'm going to keep using this one we just used. And then I'll use this one since it's labeled. Okay, so I'm going to go up and over. Remember, for your triangle, You have to stay on the road, so you stay on your grid lines. Okay? So now I'm going to count my rise, but remember, when we count our rise, so my slope is my rise over run, we do have to pay attention to what's happening. So if I look at my graph here, on my y-axis, we're skip counting by 20. We go 0, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120. So when I'm counting my rise, I'm also going to be skip counting by 20. So here I'm going 20, 40, okay? So my rise is 40, all right? Now when we're talking about our run here, when I look at my x-axis, here we are just counting by ones, okay? So now when I do my run, I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. So my run is 4, okay? So then I can come to my, I don't have it pulled up, I apologize. I can go to my Desmos. And remember, this is right there on your Schoology page, okay? But I can come here and I can say, okay, well, what is 40 divided by 4? So I can press my fraction button, 40 on the top, 4 on the bottom. What do I get? I get 10, okay? Everyone see that? All right. So my slope here is 10. So now I can write my equation, right? Y equals 10 for my M, X plus 40, which was my B, okay? So now I have my equation. All right, so now it wants to know, well, what happens on day 7, okay? So I can look at my graph and I can say, okay, well, first of all, day 7 isn't on there. And also, I could probably make a guess, but now I have my equation, so I don't need to, okay? I can use my equation to make an accurate prediction. So I'm going to say, okay, well, my days are my x's. So I'm going to do this as x equals 7. So I'm going to go to my equation, but now instead of using x, I'm going to put 7. So my equation, I'm going to write 10, remember we use parentheses for times when we're plugging in, times 7 plus 40, okay? 10 times 7 plus 40. So I'm going to go back to my Desmos, clear it, okay? I'm going to say 10, parentheses, 7, close my parentheses, plus 40, I get 110, okay? So I'm going to come back here, type that in, I get 110. So we're saying that on day 7 of Thanksgiving break, we're predicting he will have played 120 minutes of his video game. Okay? And if we think about it, 110, okay? So if we come out, that makes sense, right? I could see that being the place where we land, okay? All right. So that covers all your questions for your CFA. If you can do those 7 questions, you should be in great shape, okay? I think this one with finding the slope and plugging in is going to be the most difficult one, but you guys know how to do this. So keep practicing. The biggest things, remember to look at how you're skip counting on your axes, okay? Because on my x-axis, we were just skip counting by 1. For my run, we were just doing that. But then for my rise, for the y-axis, we were counting by 20. So that changes things, okay? So make sure you're paying attention to that. And then when you're plugging in, just make sure you're being careful. You're using your parentheses correctly and that you type it into your Desmos calculator correctly. 10 parentheses 7, close parentheses, plus 40 is going to give you your final answer. Okay? All right. Good luck. I wish you guys the best. I love you. I will see you tomorrow to take your test. Bye. Or your CFA, not your test. Bye.